and it is appropriately titled, to begin with, The River. Most of what I know about life, I learned from a river. Not just a river, the river that runs through my hometown and for which Bend River was named. The river's own name is based on its relationship to a larger course, like a family tree made of water. Our branch of it is called the Cold Fork. I think of the Cold Fork as ours because a good amount of my family and two of my dearest friends live near or beside it, and because we've spent most of our time in or on it. Various private parties and government entities lay claim to other portions, but of course, all these claims are silly and would only hold up in court. In truth, a river belongs to no one and to everyone. In truth, a river belongs to itself. The upper and lower branches of the Cold Fork are swift enough to carry kayaks and canoes, deep enough in places to swim, and shallow enough to feel accessible to even first-time paddlers. When the river, do I need to pause? Okay, we're doing things. When the river reaches the town, it slows to a shallow stream dappled with rocks, meandering politely past the parks, streets, and hospital, as if it weren't rushing willfully through the woods before it got there and wouldn't return to that pace as soon as it turned out of sight again. On a map, the shape reminds me of a heron in profile, stooped back, crooked neck, long beak pointing down. Because of this, I've always thought of our town as nestled and protected, although my dad, a real estate broker, complains of the flooding, and my mom, an insurance agent, says it's a beast on rates. I understand their points, but it doesn't impact my view. They weren't raised by the river like I was. I write this sitting in a bath in the woods beside the house I grew up in, which is not where my parents live. An outdoor tub is an idyllic setting in theory, but I have to hold the paper at an awkward angle to keep it out of the water, so I won't continue here long. Idyllic settings are often like that, not practical for writing. Papers blow, ink gets smudged. But anyway, I want to make a start. Another start, I should say, since I've written and rewritten first lines and pages, trying to decide where to begin, if you were in the right. That's slightly true to life. I light a rosemary bundle that hangs beside me. The smoke will ward off mosquitoes, or so we like to believe. Above me looms the fort we built over the decades we shared together, from childhood into adolescence, with various additions reflecting our evolving skill sets, ambitions, and desires. There are potted herbs and old tea tins nailed to the posts. A gutted blue school bus perches on a platform overhead, linked by swinging rope bridges to structures more like huts, made of scrapped materials from the main house, which is likewise transformed over time. The bus is the color of a robin's egg, which perhaps has increased the confusion of the birds that peck at its windows, investigating what kind of creatures built this strange nest, and what kind of creatures did. The same kind who referred to the fort and the little stream that runs below it as Rainbow Creek for the mists that form above the small cascades, and the light that refracts through those mists. The same kind who put this bathtub here in a circle with 4 others, with rosemary hanging by them. Rosemary for mosquitoes, rosemary for remembrance. The same kind I want to write about here, the reason why I keep returning to try again. I am one of that kind. In search of food and a better writing surface, I donned my towel and hat, grabbed my discarded hoodie and shorts, and launched myself, my notebook, and a bike in the canoe I describe as red and everyone else says is orange. I'm not so sure it should hold my trust, much less my body anymore, but old affinities die hard, and this canoe and I go way back. Anyway, it's a pretty short trip to town, and this part of the Cold Fork is playful but gentle, little eddies and riffles that give just a dash of white water without any of the jump scares. I can keep my paddle out of it and still wind up where I want to go. It's relatable because we don't paddle much on a river trip, we just kind of join together. I know this because we have floated this section in tubes many times before, kicking our feet to turn ourselves for fun, but not bothering with much else. So it's easy enough to write like this, as long as I keep a lookout. Nothing in town is above 3 stories, not even the hospital, which means there's nothing above the tree line to signal how close I am until the river turns, as it just has, and reveals the little minnow cafe perched over the river's edge, with the first quarter moon rising beside it. I tied the canoe between another that was newer and a kayak that was not, pulled my clothes over my sweaty skin, and took the worn stone steps up to the cafe entrance. No shoes required here, although I wish I'd brought my shearling boots to offset the chilled air. I've placed my standard order, a sandwich with pickled red onions and goat cheese, and claimed one of the raised wooden benches overlooking the river deck. There are puzzle boxes laid on all the tables, a sure sign of rain on its way. The sky still seems bright, although clouds are starting to build, but this ritual of the little minnows is more reliable than a weather forecast, especially when it comes to the suddenness of summer storms. Oh well, I don't mind biking in the rain, and the canoe can wait for the next ride going its way. Bend River is that kind of town, where you can leave things, and someone will know it's yours and bring it back to you, eventually. I light the candle on the table and pour out the pieces of a language I shared with my parents while I was growing up. When our schedules failed to overlap, puzzles were the notes to show that some of us had been home, a proof of life if one was needed, an interaction delayed by several hours. We'd work on them in staggered shifts, like some people play drawn-out games of chess. Our frustrations and triumphs played out alone, usually diffused by the time we saw each other again. I used to think I needed to clear my heart of every blockage before I tried to tell what was in it. But then I remembered rivers only make sounds because of the rocks in their way. So here I am, scrawling these words on the pages of the notebook I keep with me, mid-sized these days, but in the past, a little flip reporter style, where I jotted observations like I was doing a fascinating study of animals and their habitat, which, of course, I was. I was detailed and tenacious, like I knew we'd want to read the record later. Somehow I was nostalgic, even when I was 7. And inside the cover of every notebook, my full name written in capital letters, Marlo Hatch Keller. It has started to rain. There is plenty to tell, but what to say? I work the borders first, like my father taught me. I will start this story the same way.